Sixth edition of the RomaOstia half marathon. Running over the standard 21.1 kilometre distance, the race is the most famous and prestigious in Italy. Starting from the EUR to the south of the city centre, the course runs along the Cristoforo Colombo Road, reaching the finish line on the Ostia coastline. Some of the biggest names of the sport are here. Kenyan-born Bahraini Abraham Cherobin, winner of the Copenhagen half marathon in 58.40, will face Kenyan Alex Corio with a personal best of 58.51. Daniela Miucci leads the Italian charge. In the women's competition, all eyes are on Joyce Chepkemoi-Tele, now ready to attack her personal best time of 69.21. So here we are, let's join the live action with the race already underway. Perfect racing conditions. It's cool, bit overcast. It's forecast to get sunnier and a light tailwind. And this group reforming a little bit on the uphill incline. One for South Africa, one for Europe, one for Italy. That's Miucci that we're looking at. One for Eritrea, one for Ethiopia, and all the others are Kenyans. Miucci looking comfortable. He was drifting off the back of that pack. I wonder if he went through a little bit of a bad spell. He'll be revitalised by having completely re-engaged with that group. Great athlete, 6th in the London World Championships, 8th in the Beijing World Championships over the marathon distance, 7 times an Italian national champion on the track. And of course, his proudest moment probably was winning the European marathon title in Switzerland in 2014. So you can see that personal best goes back fully 8 years, 61.06. We should mention that we're into the era of the super shoe. That is benefiting all road runners these days, knocking precious seconds, even a minute or so off their times at the half marathon distance. The carbon fibre plate and the memory foam in a number of models these days are taking us into new realms of times at national and international level. Mathanga Mbuleli Maxwell, the athlete at the back of that group, seems to be the one that's struggling to hang on, the reigning South African national 10,000 metre champion. Miucci just at the back of that group, but still tucked in. Now the 3 women completely on their own. 3 for Kenya. I think a few of these athletes have Italian coaches and certainly Italian agents, because I think for a race in Italy, the organisers have had to pull out all the stops to get a good elite field, with so many other road races taking place, having been postponed from the spring. And these 3 operating at, well, could be sub 67 minute pace. Here we go. This is the projection. Well, 68. Low 68, but they've certainly accelerated in the previous kilometre. You can see the distance they've put over those chasing men. So it's getting quicker in the women's race, but we're not quite at the halfway point for them. And still the big hill to come. The men aren't too far away from that big hill, and they're operating at just under 61 minute pace. Hopefully the tailwind will benefit them, and hopefully the downhill run-in in the closing stages off the high point on the course at 66 metres elevation at 10 kilometres will give them a nice acceleration. Hand signals coming in from Kipkoech, but he's there as a pacemaker, so I don't think he can request any help. He's not the biggest windbreak in the world, is he? He's quite a diminutive figure, but he's doing a great job here. We're now down to 6 athletes in that group. 3 for Africa, 1 for Europe. Miucci for the home team. You can see on this dual carriageway, not many opportunities for spectators to get there. There are some bike riders on the path just to the left-hand side of the shot as you look at it, as they enjoy this nice downhill sweep. Beautiful tree-lined boulevard. That will be a main commuter thoroughfare into Rome for those that live by the seaside on a weekday. So this will be the 10-kilometre intermediate split. They're just going through now. It's pretty much all downhill from here, so they will get quicker and quicker. 28:30 unofficially, and as you can see, notionally a second separating those leading 6. And it does look like the pacemaker, if he's staying in, he looks like he really kicked off the 10-kilometre point. The women are still climbing gradually and gently. That is the main road linking RomaOstia, built in the 30s, connecting the city with the coast. And it is beautiful. Hopefully we'll get some more drone images of the nice buildings and the sea frontage here in Ostia, where we're awaiting the finishers. So this arch, I think, will mark halfway. So we're through 10 kilometres. The full distance is 21.1 kilometres. This is the halfway point. And you can see that is a nice runner's eye view of the timing car, the race director, the outriders, and probably in the distance, just a glimpse of the sea. Oh, what a mess. Slaps himself on the head. It's a really moot point as to whether you need to take a drink in a half marathon when you're only running for 50 odd minutes. The glycogen release process, which the water triggers, is really only comes into play in a marathon when you're into 2 hours of running. I think both of them that took water have just doused their heads with it just to cool themselves down a little bit. Maiucci on the left, running well still. And maybe they're whittling it down to 4 here. Are we with the same 3 in the women's? Joyce Telle, Gloria Kite, Betty Kibet. No conversation going on between them. We saw a few hand gestures early on, but every time we see them, it is Joyce Telle just by half a stride, that sort of triangular formation, and always her at the front of it. She loves to lead. She's not tucked in at any point in this race, even when there was a male runner helping. And the women rapidly approaching the halfway point. So it does look like it is coming down to 4, and if you take out the pacemaker, because Vedic Kipkoech is not going the full distance, and you can see he's frowning a bit now. I wonder how much more we'll get from his excellent pacemaking. These are the 2 really struggling. Maxwell Mathanga Mabelele. I think the captions are saying Kenya. I have him down as South Africa. And this man was a late addition to the field. I only saw him on a start list on Friday. Josphat Kip Kemboy making his debut, and he's going to know all about how hard the half marathon is now, because he has to keep going now for another half hour, seemingly on his own. That is going to be brutal for him. The women just through 10 kilometres, getting quicker now, 31:57. Not quite at the halfway point. Telle, as always, just half-yarding it. And pretty soon they will be over the top of the hill, with the opportunity also to stretch out on the downhill run, and the psychological boost of seeing the finish line, albeit that it can lull you into a full sense of how close it is, seeing the sea, not the finish line. Maiucci looking round, checking who's there. Well, he's got it down to 4 plus the pacemaker, it would appear. He's having a great run, and right now he's operating, well, almost a minute inside his lifetime best. So Maiucci, at the age of 36, like Italian wine, just coming into his prime vintage. And at the other end of the scale, a man whose racing credentials are 0, number 10. From a famous athletics family, a great gene pool, Tola, Abdira Adisa Tola, first time outside Ethiopia, and he's giving a very good account of himself at the moment and looking comfortable. That's the halfway point for the women. That's a nice psychological boost. Only 1 taking on board water. And you can see they've got quicker, now averaging 3:09 per kilometre. That's Kite's surge, taking them well clear of the national standard men behind them. On the left-hand side of the shot, Maxwell of South Africa, Tola of Ethiopia, and the pacemaker Chariot of Kenya. Cameras with Kite. She's got track speed, but sometimes track speed's no good to you when you're in such a tough part of the race. It's pure endurance that keeps this relentless pace going, and she's finding it hard now. 42 minutes into the race. Kite, look at that, they've opened up very suddenly on her there. She really needs to concentrate if she's going to hang on to a chance of winning this race, because it is starting to drift away from her a little bit. Look at that high arm action for Tele. Arms stay right up at shoulder level on the upswing and the downswing. Tola in the centre, for a man on his debut, looks as fresh as a daisy. Looking around, just taking a roll call on who's still there. Chironen has been struggling for a little while, but he is still there at the back of that group. And that's it. He's decided the hand signal was there. He's going to walk or jog it home. So he gets the name check at 15 kilometres. What did he do? 15 kilometres and 3 metres. That obviously was the plan for Chariot. He did a super job of pacemaking. Well, you can see it's brought it down to very close to 60-minute pace. But now the racing is on in earnest. And surprisingly, it is the least experienced athlete, Tola, taking it on his debut. You could not have a greater contrast in race experience. Tola, first serious race, and Meucci of Italy, who's done everything, including winning major titles, national titles on the track, great performances in world championships. He's having a look round. Chironen may be the guy they're looking for, but he doesn't look altogether comfortable, does he, the Bahrainian in the centre, with that slightly stiff upper body action. And is this a surge from Meucci? He knows the course. He swung right over to the right-hand side, and it looks as though he's waving people through, but it's actually a spurt being put on by the Italian. And this could be showtime. For a marathon runner, he's decided it needs to be a long run for home, and here it comes. Alberto Stretti explaining to them it's all downhill from here. It looks like it's down to 2 between Tele and Kibet Chepkamoy in second. And that gap looks to be significant now, doesn't it, over Gloria Kite in third. But what a story this would be if Daniel Meucci could win this. He looks back, the surge hasn't completely worked, but he needs to keep it going now. Look, they've drifted to a 2:52, but that takes in a previous uphill in that 5K segment. Well, for Italy, you have to go back to 2001 for the last Italian man to win this event. Giuliano Battacletti won it 20 years ago, and Meucci is making this exciting for the home audience, because he's not just in that pack, he is setting the agenda. And is it dragging only 2 of the others clear? Working hard, you can see in his eyes, he's going for the win here. He'll know the course, he knows what he has to do. He's running way quicker at the half marathon distance than he has before. Could be up to a minute quicker than his lifetime best. So that will be exciting him. Possibility of regaining his European marathon title next summer. So you think at 36, maybe in the autumn of his career. But look at this, where's the others? Is he dropping them? Tola is the closest, but Meucci of Italy now has a couple of seconds and is really going for this. Wow. This is an amazing turn-up for the books. Meucci leading, and we're inside the last 14 minutes or so of this race, and he's really hurting them here. There's no point looking back. Little glimpse there over his right shoulder, but he's fully committed to this. It looks like it has really seen off Cherobin, because suddenly he's 4 or 5 seconds back down the road. So this may be guaranteeing Meucci a place on the podium. You can see the spectators watching and cheering. Oh, another messy drinks pickup. At this stage in the race, I'm not sure what advantage there is for Maxwell in taking on board fluids. Poured most of it over his head. And it looks as though that drink station was the point at which Tola decided to take closer order. He's the one now re-engaging with Meucci. Interesting camera shot here. We're getting the runner's eye view. Third place, the South African Mathanga Mubeleli. Maxwell, national 10,000 metre champion. We're down to 2 further back down the road in the women's race as they go through 15 kilometres, 47.41. Nothing to choose, stride for stride. And it's quick. There you can see we're right on 67 minutes, but they still seem to be accelerating in this women's race. I think he's going to be safe in third, but he does take the odd check over his shoulder just to be sure that he's going to make the presentation podium. And Meucci's still there. He's choosing to run right on the hard shoulder, right where the flags are. Tola running down the centre, just following the line of the lead car, but he's got 2, maybe 3 seconds now, Tola. Is that going to be enough? 2 kilometres to run, 2.1 kilometres to run. Still time for Meucci to get back on terms. 20 years since an Italian man won. You can see his arm action almost changed there. He's digging as hard as he can. Sometimes the bikes in the background just give you an indication of how fast they're running when you've got no other perspective. Look at it. So the encouragement there is all for Meucci to try and get back on terms, but that gap is opening every minute. And now he's drifting to the centre of the carriageway, just looking for something to give him a little bit of inspiration in these closing stages. It's a straight line to the finish, though there is no advantage in either side. Tola not looking back. What a moment for him. It was a favour through race agent Gianni Di Madonna, an Italian, to get him into the race. His brother has supported his airfare, Tamarit Tola, the Olympic and world medalist. But he may be turning his kid brother into a superstar, because to win RomaOstia on your first ever major road race would be astonishing. But that's what he's on the way to doing at the moment, because the gap over Meucci of Italy is now maybe up to 4 or 5 seconds. And he's not looking back. This would be his to lose from here on in. Just a grimace and a spit to indicate that he is working hard. And the odd nervous look at his watch, but there's a clock, a giant clock, only a few meters in front of him if he really wants to know the time. And he could be going under 60 minutes here. Meucci's not going to be too far outside that, nor too, well, we're calling him Maxwell, I think, Mathanga Mululele. The women are into their final 10 minutes of running, and still nothing to choose between these two. This really is the third and final hill of the race. There was one at 5 kilometres. There was the big one at 10 kilometres, Camping Hill, as they call it. And this one, which Tola is making look very, very easy indeed, is just a couple of 100 metres from the finish. It's almost like a nervous look at his watch, isn't it? There's the gantry. He can see it. We can see it. He's got 45 seconds to break the hour. He's going to take the title. He's being urged on. Nobody will know his name today, but they will in future, because this is an amazing debut for Tola. 30 seconds to go under the hour. And there's the gantry. There's the big clock. Sprinting hard. It's going to be close. He's checking as well. Don't worry about the time now. Just sprint. 10 seconds to go under the hour. He's going to take it, and it is going to be under the hour. Abdera Adisa Tola takes RomaOstia 2021, the 46th champion in his first ever major road race. Still looking at his watch. And what a run for Daniele Meucci of Italy, taking almost a minute off his time, just failing in his bid to become the first Italian to win in 20 years. Third place goes to Maxwell Mathanga Mubuleli of South Africa. That's our podium, 59.55. Abraham Cherubin takes fourth place for Bahrain, and he's back racing at a high level as well. This is that rather draining final uphill. They're racing it. It left the men very fatigued in their final running. So Tele now looks like she's got a stride for the first time in the race. She's looking behind her. Has she got away? It's not convincing yet, is it? But we've only got a minute or so to run. Joyce Tele in the sky blue, and Betty Kibet Chepkamoy in the black singlets. This is the biggest gap between the two of them in the whole race. Tele needs not to look back, because she has to just sprint it from here. Doesn't look like she can give a lot more. Now, who's going to get the benefit of this downhill? Inside the final 40 seconds or so of the race. Still the number one seed, Joyce Tele, but she's still looking back. And if she looks again, Kibet is there and challenging. It's going right to the wire. For the first time in the race, Kibet maybe just got ahead in front, but Tele's having none of it. She's responding. Oh, this is desperately close. And finally, it is going to be Joyce Tele by the narrowest of margins who takes it. They both celebrate. What a race, 66.36. She refused to be beaten there, didn't she, Joyce Tele? Even when her teammate came alongside in the final 200 meters, absolutely exhausted. Well, at every point in the race, she wanted that, leading that triangular group. And when it came down to a 50-meter dash, she had just enough there. But what a finish. That's a big personal best for her. Of course, for Betty Kibet Chepkamoy, it's her debut, so a personal best for her. That was a great race. It was only decided really in the last 25 meters or so. Look at that. They both put their arms aloft, and they both should be pleased with their day's racing. But it was that final kink in the road there, that final downhill sweep, that determined it. Gloria Kite is going to complete the podium in third place. That will have been a hard last few kilometers for her on her own. Starts to follow the vehicle, just gets redirected. I think she's on autopilot, but she's got third place. A minute and a quarter behind, but a great run for her as well. So confirmation of the women's result. Joyce Tele leads a Kenyan clean sweep with the win in Ostia. Plenty of smiles after the hard miles. The official result from the men's race, Abdera Adisa Tola of Ethiopia won, while his brother won the Amsterdam Marathon the same day. And a great second for Italian legend Daniele Meucci. A job well done. Prize money, checks and trophies to be carried home. So until next year, goodbye.